I know what love is.
I love you. You complete me.
I may have never been kissed on Notting Hill, but I found the podcast to get the film. Maybe I'm clueless, but this is as good as it gets. Paige, Mikey, and Todd serving the best of my best friend's wedding. Rom-coms, true love, and heavy petting. We crying on the couch, but we're not forgetting that most of these flicks are trash. We relive it again, all romance in the podcast. You want it, you got it. You want it, 'cause baby, you got it.
As you wish.
Thank you for tuning into Romancing the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
I'm Mikey Randolph.
And I'm Todd Schlosser, and this week I made you all watch The Vow. So this is my first time seeing it. Have you all seen it before?
I have indeed.
Oh, have you?
Yes, so I have seen this before. I didn't remember the details because it was back when it came out, probably.
Oh, yeah? Give me the vibe. Like, was it a date? Was it you and your mom who went to go see a movie or something?
Unfortunately, I got into a car accident and I do not remember the specific circumstances.
So it ended badly.
It probably was a date or someone I was dating at the time or something.
Are you just embarrassed because it was you and a date and 4 other guys that came along with you?
No, I don't consider those dates. That would just be a group of friends going to the movie.
You know who also didn't consider it a date, Mikey? Rachel.
Your date? Yeah, I know. I asked her. But I mean, I just remember it being like kind of like paint by numbers, kind of like movie of the time of like a romantic movie or whatever. Watching it today was an interesting experience.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on this one a lot.
Interesting. Let's talk about it. Why are you on the fence?
I think it's because his big speech is like, her big speech to him is like, you didn't want me to be anything but myself. And I was like, no, he really wanted you to be the version he wanted, which is kind of the same as the bad as your family wanted.
Yep.
And he had no chill. Like, no chill. I don't see how you fell in love with him the first time.
I mean, here's the thing. I understand his frustration because it's a frustrating scenario, but she also has a fucking brain injury. So, like,
yeah. I literally was like, I don't think either of them are handling this better, but I think I have to side with the person with the traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
In all of this. And I do think ultimately he does a really good job of like, I just want you to be happy. And, you know, if that is with me, awesome. If that's not with me, also that needs to happen, right? It'll be sad, but it needs to happen.
I don't understand why the movie went so far as him being like, oh, this is like our second chance for us to fall in love and like reread this novel. And then he goes on this date and then he ruins it immediately and they still break up. And I was like, you got so close.
Mikey, 100%. When I watched the trailer for this, thought it was going to be way sillier and it was going to be about, you know, same premise, but she was going to be actively dating Jeremy and he would have to get in there and be like, I gotta like steal my wife away from her ex-fiance.
You want 50 first dates is what you want.
50 first dates with more agency from the female character from what I understand. I have never seen that movie.
Well, yes.
Oh, you mean meeting someone in their like specially skilled nursing home is not maybe the best idea?
Because he meets her after her accident. That's the part that's a little like, ooh.
Okay.
But here's what I will say though. 50 First Dates has a whole lot more chemistry and a whole lot more heart than this movie does at any point.
That's fair. Well, I've never seen 50 First Dates, but I believe
Despite being very troubling. Mikey and I disagree on this. I know she has a head injury. I know it's bad. I love 50 First Dates. It makes me cry every time. I get that I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong. I do.
We should do it. I don't know why we haven't done it yet.
We have, maybe that's what I'll do next because the one that I wanted wasn't streaming.
It's your pick. Whatever you want to do. I'm not forcing you, obviously. It's 100% your call.
It's not like redeeming love bad.
No, I think you were almost right with it feels very paint by numbers, standard sort of romantic tearjerker-ish kind of movie. I don't think it excels at anything necessarily. I think they have some chemistry, Channing Tatum and Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
So like, I sort of bought it. I wanted them to be together at the end. I wasn't super invested in it though. I really did like her getting her chance to sort of relive what I think was her ultimate mistake, which was completely cutting off her family for what happened.
Maybe.
I don't really know all the circumstances around
But
that.
there's a part of me that's like, girl, you were right.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted the scene where her family thanked him for keep encouraging her to stay connected with them this time, because he kind of helps her with that.
Yeah.
But also I was like, why did you stop talking to your sister?
Yeah, like there's so much involved in that maybe we just don't know, that the movie doesn't show us.
We just don't really get it on screen.
Well, they're like, of course you would stop talking to mom and dad, but like your sister though? Like why would you stop talking to her for 5 years?
I think if it was me, I could understand not talking to dad anymore. 100%.
Yeah, I get that.
I could understand being frustrated with mom, but I would still probably talk to mom. Sister, I think the reason she's not talking to her sister is because her sister knew the entire time and didn't tell her. So she views her sister as like, you helped.
Oh, I didn't get that from the movie. Interesting.
She says that in the grocery store.
Okay.
She says, you knew, and she says the entire time.
Oh, I thought she just meant
I thought
from
that's
the time.
after the coma.
But they
yeah.
don't
Yeah, same,
differentiate.
Mikey.
That's the thing.
They don't.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right, Paige. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that does make sense because there has to be a reason she didn't talk to her sister also. But it is sort of wild. And I do like that at the end of this movie is heavily implied that they will still have a relationship with her family, going forward. So I like that.
And well, I wanted the situation where they like welcomed him back.
Yeah. So I think there are great things about this movie, but it is exactly what you expect.
No one had any empathy of what it would be like not to remember years of your life. And that was the part that drove me nuts.
I honestly feel like Channing Tatum has the most of that, but he gets fed up
But
like
even that-
7 minutes after they get home. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes!
like in movie time, like screen time,
I was like, you're an idiot. Like, who would throw a surprise party? Like, that's so dumb.
Oh,
And then-
that is so. I literally wrote that on my notes. I was like, why would you ever? If I sprained my ankle, I had to go to the hospital. If there's a surprise party waiting for me, I'll be so pissed. Let alone if I've been there for a month or whatever.
And again, the movie frames it where he like has this epiphany after like taking weeks off of like, we need to just start from the beginning.
Yeah.
I just need to let it all go and start from the beginning because I love her. And then he does that for one night, and then at the end he's like, you don't love me now? And you're like,
Bro, and that night
Bro.
goes so well up until the point
I
he
was like,
drops
you
her
blew
off.
it.
Yeah.
I was like, you blew it.
Yeah, it's like, take her on a second date, idiot. Like, she possibly, and we realize at the end of the movie, never gets her memory back. So, like, you're going to have to make her fall in love with you again, bro.
well, it is based on a true story. So I have a lot of fun facts about the true story.
Okay, I looked up the story as well because whenever I see inspired by a true story, I'm like, no, it's fucking not. And I was actually pretty surprised at how closely it does follow it.
I heard a rumor
Please, by all means, spill the tea.
that they ended up divorcing even after they got remarried.
That is true, yes.
That is
because
true.
he cheated on her.
Did he really?
Yeah.
My favorite thing about them is their names are Kim and Cricket. And whichever one you guessed was the husband, you're wrong.
You are absolutely wrong.
Yeah, no, his name is Kim. Her name is Cricket. And he cheated on her. But I tried to figure out when, and I couldn't figure out when. I have to assume it's after they remarried.
Oh, I assume that while they were divorced, he could be fucking whoever he wanted to be fucking.
No. Yeah, it just didn't say. It didn't. I do know that they're not happy with this adaptation of the film because they wrote a book about what happened to them. And a big portion of the book was their faith. And they were mad that didn't end up in the movie. But as we saw last week, maybe for the best.
Yeah, that's why this movie is tolerable.
Yeah, it might be for the best, I would say. So they did not end up together. This movie is paced very strange. And I think it's because the story is strange. And so you spend a lot of the movie not liking anyone, but at the same time being like, well, I get it. She's had a brain injury. I understand. And she doesn't know this person. But also there's a part of me that's like, just be more discreet, girl. Like, come on. Like, there are some things that I'm like, I understand that you have a brain injury, but there's no need to be unkind. You know, like that's there. But then there's also him being like, you can't expect her to just snap back. She may never regain her memory. Like that.
Yes, and
this
she
is
doesn't.
horrible, but that's just a reality. And she doesn't. And she didn't in the real story either.
Yeah.
So like, it's just tough all around. And I feel like the movie focuses so long on them struggling and not on them falling back in love if
Yes.
that's where we wanted this to end up.
That's because they go on one date and the movie ends where it should sort of begin. Maybe not begin, but like tell us the re-falling in love story. That's what I came for.
Right. Well, and here's the thing. It's like Channing Tatum, like him or not, is charming
Yes.
to a degree. My favorite Channing Tatum is when he's fumbling words to try and make a sentence where he's just like, I mean, you have the right to an attorney. And it's like, you do have the right to be an attorney.
He's right about that.
He's right
Yeah.
about that. It just came out all jumbled. That's my favorite Channing Tatum. I find him super charming. So I'm on board, right?
Yeah. I think him and Rachel McAdams have great chemistry. Yeah.
They do. Rachel McAdams, amazing always.
Rachel McAdams is just cute, man. She's an adorable little human.
They do. And as I'm watching the movie, I felt like in the beginning, the whole section of like how they were in love initially, I felt like we were like motoring through it. And I was like, I could take a little bit more of this. Honestly, this is kind of fun. And then the accident happens. And then literally, it feels like 80% of this movie is that of like them fighting kind of and like trying to like, do you remember this? Do you not? Her parents practically kidnapping her in a weird way.
Well, I mean,
Because
yeah.
they knew that she hadn't spoken to them in years. Like
Yeah.
that felt real dark to me. Like I understand that they want to have a relationship with her, but they're not being honest with her and she is vulnerable.
That is
Right.
dark.
That is a problem.
It's
yeah.
super fucking dark. And so, and all of that, and her becoming this person that we really don't like because we kind of fell in love with her the way she was, you know, but you have to, the whole thing is like, you have to accept who she's going to be because, you know, this thing happened to her and changed her.
Yeah.
And we get that one date of them falling back in love, and that's it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's very much him still being in love and her being like, I could see why I loved him.
I could see why, yeah.
Yeah, that's what we talked about a lot. We talked about it a lot, which is like he has this epiphany of like, oh, I just need to like give her emotional space and date her and like we'll fall back in love again.
Yeah.
It's like rereading the favorite novel again. And then we do it for the date. It goes really well. And then he's like, I love you. Why won't you love me back? And I was like, bro.
Yeah, calm it down, man.
But not only that, after that date, she was kind of like a date that clearly went well.
Yeah. It went at least to second base.
Yeah. Well, and she was just like, all right, bye. Like she had no intention of going on an additional date with him.
Well, I don't know if you guys have ever dropped the L-bomb on a first date at the end.
I have not done that.
Have you, Mikey?
No. But
Oh.
I would assume she's not going to want to go out again. So even if you were married and lost your memory in a car accident and then your parents tricked you to move away, even then you would be like, this kind of feels weird.
Yeah.
He's not patient with her, which I think is the issue I have with his character.
But at the same time, I understand where that comes from because this is so hurtful and frustrating for him too. I understand losing your cool. I don't think he is being patient enough with her. I agree. But I also think that's a very human reaction.
It absolutely is a human. I think I needed more like deep, depressing sadness on his end.
Yeah, we really only get one very sad shot, and that's when he like tries to tickle her and it goes badly,
Oh, yeah.
and then he like walks away and like kind of cries behind the door or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't really get much more of that.
Yeah. If this was me, I wanted every other scene with just me crying in the shower, like sobbing.
Well, because it has to, I mean, it's grief. Like,
Yeah.
you're grieving because it can
Your
never
wife
be.
died and the cloned body has taken her place.
Yes, basically, yes. Okay, but like, how much better would this movie be with clones?
A bunch of better.
A bunch of better.
A bunch
Hey,
of better.
Can I ask a question about Rachel McAdams specifically?
Okay.
Does she just like smelling farts? Is that like her thing?
I think she did it as a joke.
And they kept it in?
No. I think the character does it as a joke.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's absolutely the kind of ridiculous, wild shit I would do.
Well, she's actually got one up on him because she technically lost her sense of smell with the head injury.
Nice. So she heard it, is what you're saying. She's like, there's not a duck in this car.
There's a myriad of wig-ass wigs in this movie.
I have no wig dart. Like, I
know
honestly
you don't.
didn't see it. I'm so wig blind.
There's some bad ones, too.
Who, Rachel McAdams?
Yes.
This is not her best work, I don't think.
I mean, I think she's fine. I believe her. I think it's not The Notebook.
Yeah, I think it's not The Notebook because the scripts, but like, I also think her and Ryan Gosling had more like chemistry,
You could feel it.
Yeah.
That movie is bad, but people still are like, that rain scene, though.
Channing does kind of go through this film like kind of an idiot.
Mikey, we need to talk about Channing Tatum because I love him. I watch most movies he's in.
Yeah, I think he's great. He is our most thumb-like celebrity. Paige, he looks like a thumb. You saw him naked twice in this movie.
Super sexy thumb. Anyway, so I do want to. My husband walked through while I was watching them, and they were like running into the lake. And he's like, "Do you have any idea how just completely horned out of your brain you would be if Channing Tatum just picked you up with one arm and threw you in water?" I was like, "Oh my God, yeah, I wouldn't even be able to stand." And he was like, "I know." Anyway, Channing Tatum works best when he is allowed to be dumb and funny. That is his lane.
That's why the Jump Street movies work, man. Like,
yes.
And I think he can have more depth, but I think this movie, like he's the best in this movie when he's being charming and funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this movie is deeply depressing and you cannot cover that up.
No.
And they don't write him any depressing scenes.
They don't
he's
give
just
him
like with his friends, he's like,
anything.
you know what kind of sucks?
Right.
My wife don't remember me. What should I do? I mean, like that's literally.
and they're like, throw a surprise party the night she comes back from the hospital.
Definitely don't learn any of our names and also make us like give us lines but don't introduce us. But yeah, so like he works really great in a fucking, and here's the thing, I think he's smarter than those roles give him credit for.
100%.
But we also read that one email he sent about Jump Street. That's one of the funniest things I've ever read, where it was like listing the release dates or whatever, and he just replies with like, "Let's go, fuck yeah," with like 1,000,000 Ks. And I'm just like, I feel like we could hang out. I feel like this would be fun. And so in this movie, when he is making her laugh and being goofy, perfect.
Yeah.
Love it. But the second you're like, emote, I'm like, no, that's not his job. And he's not a bad actor. That's just like not who he is. And it's okay,
Yeah.
Not every actor is right for every role. And that's okay.
But both of the main characters don't, it takes a long time for them to be like, I'm really upset about this.
Yes. Well, okay.
An oddly long time in the film before she's like, she cries about not remembering everything. And I'm like, I would be sobbing
Devastated all
all
the
the
time.
time. Yes.
I was picturing myself in his situation, and I definitely would be. If I was in her situation, I don't know, because you really don't remember that person. Like, I would feel very strange about that, maybe a little guilty that I don't remember them and don't have those feelings that I used to. But man,
I've got too much of like a little bit of a paranoia bone where I'd be like, you're all lying to me. You're all in on
when
it.
she
Like,
sets all the pictures out and was like, I'm trying to pinpoint my last memory and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's like, there's no emotional depth to the fact that she lost like maybe
like 5 years of her
was
life.
5 years.
like a
Mikey.
big percentage of her life. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
that's like waking up and it's like, oh, I'm like 50 years old now. I don't remember my 40s.
That'd be fucking terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Who would you cast instead of him? Just thinking about it. Like for the same role, same movie that you think could maybe bring a little more of that depth or a little bit of a different flavor, who do you cast?
Ryan Gosling, easy.
Oh yeah, Gosling would nail this, of
another
course.
Notebook. What are we
But
doing?
no, see, here's the thing though, because Gosling wouldn't be funny.
Gosling's funny. What are you
He
talking
can be.
about?
Have you not seen The Nice Guys?
I have, and he can be, but you know he would not be in this movie. He would be all sad boy.
I want Chris Pine.
Interesting choice. Outside pick. Hear me out. Jack Black.
No, I can see
You've
that.
been looking at the Facebook group post about people that are like hot but not conventionally hot that our fans are like attracted to.
No, I wasn't looking at that today.
'Cause
But
he came up a bunch. I can't help but notice that Mikey and I didn't come up a bunch.
I think he would do a good job of trying really hard to make her feel comfortable.
Yes.
Not as pushy as Channing Tatum, and then also
Yes.
being really sad.
yes, here's how I sell this. In the funny parts, when he's like winning her over in the beginning when they're falling in love, very sweet. Picture the best parts of The Holiday.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, him and Kate Winslet
Right?
in The Holiday. Yeah.
And he sticks out like a sore thumb at her family shit.
He definitely
because here's
would.
the thing. They don't like Channing Tatum, but he could easily be any one of them. You know, like it doesn't, he's not really that different.
Put him in a more expensive suit and he looks like he fits in real nice.
How dare you run off and marry a guy with 12 Hawaiian roll abs?
Right? But then think about, like, Jack Black fully stands out. He's a fully different dude. He's not the vibe at all. And watching him cry over losing her, I'd be devastated. I'd be sobbing through this movie. Like, I'm
man.
just saying.
Absolutely. I like that, actually.
But I also think part of that is the framing of the film, where I don't think we should have gone through their backstory. I think we should have started with one romantic night. She loses her memory, and then it's them dealing with that trauma and then falling in love again.
I think that is structured
agree.
better.
We get to the epiphany of I need to date my wife again way faster, and then we see them fall in love again.
Or he goes on the date, says he loves her, then he's like, I don't know if we can do this, and they separate. And in the movie, halfway is where they meet up to go not to the Cuban place at the end.
Yeah, and we see them start to date again.
But that's too weird. Like, you got to set it up so that we're ending on them deciding to be together forever, because this is a rom-com, right? So, like, how it should be is that the accident happens immediately, which is pretty close to what we get here, but we could definitely compact that, right?
Compact it like the car.
The accident happens. Her family's getting involved. He decides that he's going to have to date her at the end of Act 1, which is 20 to 30 pages in. That's approximately 25 minutes into this movie, right?
Yeah.
Then for the next 30 minutes, he's actively trying to date her. And they get to a point where he's like, I love you. And she's like, I do, but I just still don't remember. And the crux of it is, I don't remember you. I am having a good time, but I don't remember you. I remember being engaged to this other guy. Then that last section, that last 15 to 20 minutes is her not necessarily remembering, but just realizing what he has that the new guy doesn't, and realizing that, yes, she does still love him, which this movie tries to do, but it takes forever and it's kind of bungly. And then literally it ends with her coming back.
It almost tries to say she fell in love with him because of his sense of humor, but we don't quite get there.
But we don't get there. But if we had Jack Black.
If we had Jack Black, that would be obvious.
Yeah.
We'd be like, we know why you're into him.
And what we needed that we don't get in this movie is her coming back to him and being like, I don't remember you, but I'm willing to create new memories with you.
Something like that. That would have been honestly very heartwarming.
I don't know who I was with you, but I know that I have to be with you now. Like, whatever that is.
I thought it was so cold that she was like, I forgot about you every day for a year, bro. What now? I'm going to go live with my parents.
I think it was cold that she forgot about him, but still had that sixth sense when he was with another woman to show up. And
I love that. And I love that she was like, I'm going to go.
Yeah, no, I would too. Because I'm sure on the date,
you know,
you know that he has to, first or second date, be like, weird story. So I'm divorced because she forgot who I was. And you're like, what? Tell me more. And then after you finish having that conversation on the date, you walk back and you see a lady there and you're like, oh shit, that's fucking her. Bye.
Bye.
Like that.
Like, my friends are going to love this. Can't wait till we podcast record tonight.
That does sound like something that would happen to Mikey. Absolutely. Well, do you guys want to go through this movie so we can talk about it scene by scene?
Yes.
Let's go.
First of all, I don't like that we share a name, but whatever.
I liked that.
I didn't like it. It was weirding Jake out. Because he's just like, they keep yelling Paige. It's like that time when you watch that movie where they kept yelling Jake. And I don't know what movie he was talking about, but apparently there was one that was Jake.
Jake Plissken.
Jake Plissken.
I know it's Snake, but it rhymed.
That's his Instagram handle, I think.
Hell yeah, Snake.
When we met, his Facebook name was Steak Boner Storm.
Paige, I fucking get it, man. Like, I get it.
Right?
I'm the straightest dude that can be straight. But like, I get it.
He just texted from the living room in all caps, hiss. Anyway, so they're leaving a movie theater where there's like a film festival, and the snow on the cars and even some on the ground is definitely digitally added, and it looks terrible. It's such a weird choice.
When they're driving in it, it's clear that it's like 60 degrees outside, and they just pumped in fresh like powder snow because
Just
it
to
looks
be
like
on the street.
slush. Yeah.
Yeah. It's and they're listening to Meatloaf because, of course.
Yeah.
And she says, "I can't believe I'm married to a cheeser," which I'm like, who wrote that? What?
So he's from Wisconsin? Where are we? What is happening?
What is happening?
Okay, but if you understand that their names are Kim and Crouton or whatever,
Crouton?
This is not the Patreonicals, Mikey.
that's how I think they would talk. You know what I'm saying?
Although it is spelled with a K, which is
Yeah, they're both
wild
spelled
to
with
me.
Ks.
It's like
Yeah.
what you would call Jiminy Cricket if he was a male stripper.
Ooh.
Like that's how you'd spell cricket.
Yes. Anyway, the car pulls up to a stop sign and then she says something crazy where she's like, "I heard that girls are guaranteed to get preggers if they do it in the car," and then initiates at least making out.
Just at a stop sign, like not pulled over.
Got to keep that relationship alive.
I understand one kiss. I understand a little bit of kiss before
Yeah.
you move on. I get it. No, she's like, take your pants off. Like she's like into it.
Paige, she unbuckles her seatbelt and starts to climb over. Like they are about to start to fuck.
Yes.
Which, listen, have I been driving and someone mounted me? Maybe. But like,
Of course.
it wasn't snowing.
Yeah. The snow is the problem.
They were at a full, complete stop.
What are you, the kid from Megan's parents? Anyway, so
Oh man, if that's the real reason they died, dark.
anyway, so this entire section has a weird voiceover by Channing Tatum that is useless and gives us no information.
I also did love the Channing Tatum voiceovers because it was him just sort of narrating what we were seeing a lot. And I was like, yeah, I get it, buddy. Like, I'm here
Well,
with you.
they try to do like a metaphor kind of thing. He's like, there's these moments of impact, and then the car gets hit, and I was like, on the nose.
Bro.
And then it disappears for the rest of the movie and just shows back up at the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they were about to have sex. They get rear-ended. She goes through the windshield, and Todd and I were talking about this off mic, where the way that they animate it, like they CG'd her going through the windshield. It looks as if there's no dashboard. She just goes sideways.
Yeah.
And then slowly just lays on the top of the car. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen.
It looks like she's mannequin and someone who's not her main love interest saw her suddenly. And she is just like a solid, like can't move. And then she like flat lays on the car.
Yeah.
You guys, don't complain. She was looking to get smashed.
She was like, yo, can you hit it from the back? No, not like that.
I hate it so much.
Also, I just thought of this when when her family's like, "You're broke. What about your medical bills?" They would have sued the shit out of that like snowplow thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That definitely was a business of some sort that they now own.
Even if it wasn't, they're not at fault, which means they wouldn't have to cover. Like,
I honestly think it's just a ploy to get them to divorce. Like, none of that shit's real.
because they're literally like brain kidnapping her, kind of.
Yes.
It's not cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we get to the hospital. He wakes up and the voiceover is like, moments of impact define who we are. Cool. We cut to 4 years ago and he's wearing a real goofy fedora.
I wrote that in my notes too, Paige. I was like, why is he wearing a straw hat fedora? He looks terrible.
His
It's
whole
terrible.
wardrobe, this whole film, is only stuff super in shape hot guys could pull off. Because if he was a normal, average looking guy, if he wasn't Channing Tatum, everyone would be like, that guy looks like a douchebag.
I don't know, man. There were some outfits he was wearing where I was like, man, he layered correctly.
I love
Yes.
a dude in a sweater. A little bit of Chris Evans and Knives Out action.
I did
Yes.
notice that sweater. I was like, I don't know, Mikey might look good in that sweater.
I like that sweater.
Yeah.
There's no way I wouldn't sweat profusely in that sweater.
Oh, you might not should wear it because you sweat profusely. I bet you'd look good in it. Was my only point.
I've got some good sweaters. I
Hell
wore a
yeah,
sweater
you do, bro.
This week, yeah.
So she walks past him and he like chases her down and they have this conversation about a parking permit, whatever, but they end up going for coffee, which kind of spins into another date. And it very much kind of montages them into them being together, even though she's got a crazy ass wig, full wig, wig-tastic.
It's amazing to me because I just can't see it.
It's sitting like 2 inches up off her head,
I'm
Todd.
fucking wig blind, Paige.
You are wig blind.
Which is crazy.
How do you watch Drag Race?
I was about to bring up Drag Race because I watch Drag Race every week it's out. And every time they walk out, I'm like, damn, they grew that hair that fast? No, I mean, I know those are wigs, but like, I just don't notice in movies.
Hey, you know what? If I ever lose my hair for something, I'm going full wig. I'm gonna wig it out.
Do it.
Anyway, so we kind of yada yada montage through them dating, and he like leaves her a present at work at one point. And there's one that it's like, she's kind of sick, so it's like tissues for your nose, Tylenol for your head, and then the craziest photo of him just holding a guitar, and it just says, for your heart.
I loved it though, Paige. And I thought it would have been funnier if he was like an accountant or something. Like
so funny.
It does sort of make sense because he like is a producer and has his own studio. Like that's his job. Cool. So I'm sure he can play guitar, which we actually see him play later on, which is great. But like, it would have been funnier to me if it was just he had nothing to do with music and he was just like sexy country star guy. That's the vibe I'm going for in this photo.
That would have been hilarious. I would have also really, really enjoyed a bad photo of him. I think giving people bad photos of yourself is kind of endearing because it's this idea of like, this is the goofball you're into. Like, this is more of a you problem that you're attracted to this. I find that super fun.
I call those just photos.
I call those postable selfies, Paige.
I had a friend in college who had one of him in like a glittery Hawaiian shirt as like a chubbier teenager, just like,
God.
yeah. And it was it's so funny to me. And I'm like, give that photo to everybody. Put that on your album if you ever have an album.
Put it on a t-shirt. Let's do this.
Put it on a t-shirt. Let's go. Anyway, he sends her this crazy guitar photo. And then he has like lingerie and a condom in there and it says for later. And I'm like, she's sick. Okay.
I mean, I think that's what he means by later. I think he means once you're better.
That's true. He didn't say when the later was.
Yeah. And he like leaves, you know, like he's not like there to participate in that act.
Right.
I thought it was actually super
not
cute.
on the table in front of the customers. We got to make them go to bed first and then we do it in the kitchen. Then we get into the scene in the car where he farts in the car and she rolls the window up.
And she's like, yes, capture that scent.
Pheromones.
It's gross, honestly. It weirded me out a little bit.
This is what I'm saying. You got to fart in front of people. They had true love and it's because of the fart.
You fart in front of people you love. You don't fart in front of like at my, like I worked out the other day and like I was having some like, I don't know what happened. I farted more I've ever farted in my life. It was like... It was.
What are we talking about? Wait, I thought you famously didn't fart.
Don't
Mikey.
fart.
That's
I know.
why I sent y'all a group text that day about like, I don't know what's
I
happening.
read the group text and it reminded me of the time that my dad was like, I ate black bean pasta one time and farted for 6 months.
I literally, I had to like, they'd be like, all right, now do small flutters. And I was like, I can't.
You'd be like, I already am.
Yeah. I'm like, I can't lift my legs right now. And not because I was tired. I was just protecting everyone.
Todd, do you think Mikey was finally farting a normal amount, but he thinks it's a lot?
I do.
No.
I think he farted 3 times while he was at the gym. And he's like, oh my God, I couldn't stop farting. Mikey, while you were there, did anyone roll up the windows at the gym to smell your brand more closely?
Did they hit the Planet Fitness alarm or whatever it is?
The gunk alarm.
Hit the fart alarm.
Yeah, no. I got to make sure someone likes me before I fart around them.
Agreed.
You got to make sure they're going to roll that window up.
Yeah.
Usually the girl farts first. Like they are the one to open the window. Girls very, very much love to fart around people they like. And anytime I'm dating someone, then they'll be like, I fart a lot. Then that's when immediately a conversation comes up after they fart the first time of, I fart all the time. You need to be prepared for it. And you're like, yes, I've been with a woman.
I like that you're telling me what women do. Like, I didn't wake my husband up with a fart the first time he stayed over. Like, I get it. And we're married. Fart in front of people. Just saying. Anyway, he says, I'm so in love with you, it's insane, which I do kind of love.
I do think that's the correct response when your girlfriend of maybe a few months at this point, I don't know how long they've been dating at this point, but
2 weeks.
Duh, wow. That's a little quick. Sorry, that's
what they say in the movie.
I don't think I want to know what your asshole smells like that early on.
I mean, then you're just not having enough fun.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, that just seems super early on to be eating ass, but whatever, that's fine. It's whatever.
But that's what they were serving at the cafe.
You mean cafe mnemonic, Paige?
Yeah, cafe mnemonic, real on the nose.
Like mnemonic device? Yeah, we get it, writer of this movie. Also, don't call it that if she doesn't get her memory back. Like, that is what a mnemonic device does for you. It helps you get your memory back. Like, I thought that they set it up to where she was going to be reading the vows again, and that mnemonic device gave her memories back, and then no.
That is weird that, like, for a movie called The Vow, that the vows have very little to do with the movie.
Very little.
Well, I think you'll find over the course of the actual story that happened, it meant very little to him in real life as well.
Yeah.
Because of the
real life
adultery.
people that this is about. Yeah, because of the adultery.
Yeah.
That wasn't in the vow, not to just hook up with others.
For better or for splurts into whoever I want. That's not the vows I took.
I kind of hope no one ever has the word splurt in their vows. And not because I don't love
think shame.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's just a better way to say that at a wedding, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about ejaculate in the vows, I feel like you're a little in the weeds with it. Like, keep it top level. Keep it vague.
That's 100% a best man speech kind of thing.
Anyway, so we cut back to the present where they're just like, hey, for brain injuries like this, we put them in a coma so their brain can heal, and then we kind of wean them off of it. So he goes in while she's comatose and puts a ring on her finger, just like Redeeming Love.
Well, no, he had just listened to that Beyonce song, and he was like, I do want to keep it, so I'm going to put a ring on it.
Comatose, comatose. Anyway, we cut to the past. We have a flashback where she's feeding a cat in an alleyway. That'll come back later.
Right.
Lots of good little kitty action in this movie.
There is. It's real cute.
Very cute. And this is where we briefly meet the roommates and learn none of their names.
Oh, yeah. And I've seen 0 of them acting elsewhere.
Never. No, there is not a familiar face among them except for Tatiana Maslany, who works at his studio. That's it.
Well, yeah, I wasn't including her because she was in Perry Mason. She's
Black
She-Hulk.
Mirror. She's She-Hulk.
Yeah. So, like, she does a bunch of
Or
stuff.
no, it's Orphan Black, not Black Mirror. Sorry.
Yeah, she was an Orphan Black.
I thought they would have a romantic subplot after their divorce.
I was kind of rooting for that, and I was like, oh, they gonna end up together? No. Anyway, he puts blueberries on her plate to spell out move in. And then we cut to their wedding, which I just got to pause for a second. I am here for a short pink wedding dress moment with a chapel veil. That's what I did for my wedding. Normalized pink wedding dresses do it. It's so much fun.
I love where they did the wedding. I thought that was super
was so
fun.
great.
Yeah.
Because we will reveal that they're in a museum and they just like stood there and did it until they got chased out by the security guards. Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it
great.
so much.
This is one of those things that I think the movie does well. Like, it sets up that they are happily married well.
Yeah, the only weird part of this section is that they got married by Panic at the Disco. Dude with a crazy top hat.
The movie frames these two as like alternative artsy people.
Yes.
And these are the two most like preppy. Rachel McAdams and Channing are not like, Benny and June. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're like, look at that shirt. And it's like a sweater. And they're like,
yeah. Well, when she's like, none of these clothes feel comfortable on me, I was like, you mean t-shirts? Like, what?
Yeah, I was like, what is she talking about?
They take their pictures under the bean because this is Chicago. Did we mention it's Chicago?
It is Chicago, Mikey. Did you notice that based upon the architecture?
I didn't see anything significant. Okay,
I
but I did learn that there is a full U-boat in one of their museums, and it's one of the last surviving U-boat, and you can go see it.
Mikey, you should get married in front of it.
I feel like that would be
We're going to make this
very
U-boat
strong
an
choice.
us boat.
It just occurred to me that was a Nazi thing. U-boats were a Nazi thing. So maybe don't get married in front of a U-boat.
I really love Das Boot, her butt page. Das Boot?
Yeah.
Paige, it's a U-boat joke.
I know.
But he really prefers the front boot.
McCready, that's the appropriate response. He's glaring. Anyway.
I'd be like, women, such an enigma machine, am I right?
Oh my God. Anyway, so we cut to her studio. She's a sculptor and she's like trying to get her piece to work and it's not working. And so he shows up and tickles her and they start like hooking up on the floor. And I'm like, of a ceramic studio? That'd be filthy. Be covered in dust.
I get a feeling she was covered in more than dust by the end of the evening.
Oh, yeah. She
Yeah.
slipped for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, they end up in bed. And this, when they're kind of cuddled up in her studio bed, that was very sweet and cute.
Yeah, I thought they had decent chemistry together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We cut to modern day and she wakes up and is just like, doctor, what's wrong? And he's like, I'm your husband. And she's like, what? And the real doctor's like, sometimes people are confused when they come out of comas. And I'm like, understatement of the year. Mhm.
Yeah. I don't think she's just confused. That's called amnesia, doctor.
Yeah, doctor. And also, she's got a twin. Like, this is a plot out of a soap opera.
It really is.
Evil Stefano. Anyway.
See, I don't know these references.
Oh, you didn't watch Days of Our Lives in the early 2000s, Mikey?
You don't know what an Enigma machine is? Leave me alone.
I know what an Enigma machine is. I've seen the Intimidation Game.
You didn't know about Bubba Sparks until we told you.
No.
Yeah. That's just as historically important as U-boats.
You know why I didn't know? Turing was my Ashanti, Paige.
As in the Turing test?
Yes.
Who?
That's the guy who broke the Enigma machine, Mikey.
Yeah, I knew that. I've seen Ex Machina. What? Anyway, so he's like, what? And kind of like freaks out and then sleeps in the waiting room. And later she gets up and is like, yeah, I'm kind of hungry. I want breakfast. I was like, they would not let her get up and walk around on her own.
No.
Like, who did this? She would definitely have a bed alarm.
Yeah.
But so they sit in the cafeteria and he's like, we're married. She's like, I don't remember you and I have weird hair. And I was like, it is a wig ass wig. And he's like, well, yeah, you said it takes too long to straighten and you'd rather work in the studio instead because you're a sculptor. And she's just like, what about my law degree? And he's like, what?
Yeah, I don't think you finished law school, babe.
How old do you think you are right now?
Yeah.
I got
yeah.
late 20s, honestly.
Yeah, because it's been like 5 years.
Yeah, if she thinks she graduated law school by now, which means she was in law school at the time, which is a 3-year program, you know? And that was 5 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, I thought late 20s.
Yeah. And she's like, I don't remember any of this. So he goes and talks to his friends and they're like, hey, you get a second shot. She won't remember any stupid shit you did. But we didn't see him do any stupid shit. We've only seen him be like a great husband. So like, I don't know.
I mean, everyone makes mistakes, though, even great husbands.
Yeah.
But think about, you could reuse all the jokes you've ever made to her.
That is true.
Honestly, and you know which ones work and which ones need work, right?
Yeah.
Right. He goes back to their apartment where they're supposed to be poor and collapses into a womb chair, which costs $6 to $10 grand, depending on the fabric.
Their place, her loft for her studio,
Yes.
they are rich.
Super rich. There's no way they could afford
They live
that.
downtown Chicago and they own 3 buildings.
Well, they live on the north side.
They own 3 buildings.
Yeah.
They own her studio. They own their
his
apartment,
recording studio.
and the record. Yeah, that's 3.
Yeah.
They're doing okay.
Yeah.
But they wear sweaters, so her dad's really not approving.
Yeah. But he shows up to the hospital and she's not there. They moved her to the VIP floor and he's like, that sounds expensive. What? And shows up and her family is there and has now basically taken over. And I assume that she called them or the hospital. Somebody called them.
I'm assuming the hospital did. I mean, she might know to call them, right? But
I think she
Right.
called them. Yeah.
I think she called them because the last thing she remembers, they were all still kosher.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they are meeting Channing Tatum for the first time. And she's like, why haven't you met my parents? Because she doesn't remember that they haven't talked in years. And he's like, you have not talked to them in 5 years because bad shit happened.
Yeah.
Which, do you think he should have told her?
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
I was torn on that one.
yeah, so I'm torn on it too. I don't think there's a way for him to do it in a way that doesn't seem self-serving,
Yes.
even though I think she needs that information, you know?
To make an informed decision. Yes.
Exactly.
I think he had a good point of like, it wasn't my place to tell you, you know? Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't necessarily disagree with that either, but
I think I'd be pissed if he didn't tell me.
But without that information, I don't think she's got an informed choice. And her family's not telling her. Like, they're actively lying to her.
avoiding it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They even walk past the lady who was involved in the affair with their dad early in the movie.
And they like shy her away from her.
Yeah.
Like they actively are avoiding it.
Yeah, and if her sister had been like, that reminds me, there's something I have to tell you, but let's not do it now. Can we do it when we get home or
Yes,
something like that?
that'd be different. Yeah.
That I would be like, okay, that makes sense because you probably don't want to talk about like trauma in your family.
Right.
But like remembering that she needs to know that, you need to tell her. But they actively don't.
And what drives me nuts is that like they don't respect the boundaries she created. They
Yeah.
act like this is a do-over.
Yes, they do.
Because like she didn't talk to them for years. She put up boundaries. She was enforcing them. And the second she is incapacitated, they show up and they literally like everyone is in agreement of just like, fuck whatever she did for the last 5 years that she cared about and liked. It's time to have a redo. And it is fucked up.
Did she ever ask her family why she stopped talking to them?
Not
No.
that we see. No.
She didn't. Well, I think because she doesn't remember not talking to them, so she doesn't believe it. But they all are like, yeah, it's been a while. And I think they paint it as if like he did it and he didn't.
Yeah, that very well could be because they are trying to drive a wedge. I don't necessarily think we see them blame him for the separation or the lack of communication.
Right.
But I could definitely see them doing that because they are those kind of people.
They don't outright do it, but what they do is like, well, this doesn't seem like you.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like you, which may as well say he's the reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, the doctor is like, she needs to get back into her normal routine. That will probably help her remember. And her family's like, well, we want to take her home. And he's like, she hasn't been with you in 5 years. Her normal routine is with me.
Yeah.
And they kind of hash it out, but she does agree to go home with him to try and jog her memory.
Yeah.
Now, she asks him for evidence of like,
Yeah.
why, how are we married? He's like, I've got the certificate. And at this point, I'm like, cell phones, pictures, like if you like your phone, I'm sure my phone says Jake husband with like a bunch of A's because I think that's fun. You'd have pictures of you, your wedding photos, like so many things would indicate. And he's just like, I don't have proof. Like, she's like, did I keep a journal? No. Like, it's just strange.
Yeah. I'm honestly a little sad we didn't really see any pictures of their like first romance. Because they did have a scene where she was going through the photos of her
there are
life with her
pictures.
family, but we never see the other photos on the other side of the table, which is...
They're on, we never get to look at them. Like, she has them out.
Yeah, I wish we could have seen that and like had him be like, oh yeah, this was the night this happened, this is the night this happened, this is the night this happened, you know?
Right.
But it's okay, we can make more memories together, that kind of thing. But
Right.
we didn't get any of that.
Yeah, so we cut back to the hospital. It's the next day where the doctor is like, all right, no driving, but I'll release you into your parents' care. And he shows up and he's like, I have proof. I have a voicemail. You left me. And he plays it. And it's kind of a sexy voicemail because she's like, come home later, whatever.
But it is very clear that they are in love. They have been in love for a while, you know, and they are
Yeah.
married.
And and she sounds happy. And she does say that. She's like, I that is me. It does sound happy or whatever. So she does agree to go home with him. And he has like a whole party of people to welcome her home. And I'm like, dude, why would you think this is a good idea?
There's like 40 people there, Paige.
He's such an idiot.
If I had sprained my ankle and been at the hospital for 4 hours and I came home to that, I'd be livid.
Oh, I'd be furious. And especially because the house ends up messy too.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like extra.
And you don't know where anything is to be able to clean it.
No. And she's like, people just keep coming up and hugging her and telling her things that she should know. And it's just overwhelming, 100%. I totally understood her getting mad about this.
Yeah, she has every right to. She excuses herself
Yes.
pretty early on, which I thought was great because she needs to set a boundary and get the fuck out of there. Like, that is way too
Yeah.
much for her. I do like that he immediately sees this as a bad idea and then tries to make amends. But
Yes.
this is like the dumbest of moves.
So dumb. She's upset and overwhelmed. He ends up sleeping on the couch, shirtless. Thank you.
I literally wrote in my notes, "You're welcome, Paige," during this scene.
Thank you. on International Women's Month. Thank you.
Yeah, because I look out for you on International Women's Month, unlike some other male co-hosts.
You still owe me bath bombs and a candy.
I just want you to have agape love for me
Nope.
and some redeeming love.
I have never heard the phrase agape love.
Which is wild to me because it is a church thing, but maybe it's not a Mormon thing. Maybe it's just a regular ass church thing.
Can you tell me what agape love is?
It's a Greek word.
Unconditional.
Yeah.
So Todd, say you're walking down the street and you hear God tell you that the prettiest sex worker is yours.
Oh, no, I've been there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's agape love. Yeah, okay,
Uh-huh.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Super not.
So you wait for her to get beat unconscious and then you marry her.
Yeah, honestly, redeeming love makes a lot more sense to me now knowing this.
Okay.
Now I need 2 candies.
I was so thrilled that the trauma in this movie at the family level was just an affair.
Yeah,
we
right?
really upped the bar.
I literally said to Natalie while we were watching this, oh my God, that was it?
Yeah, and nobody talked about the fact that he helped blow up that dinosaur island.
But no, like, I think I'm traumatized from last week's movie to the point where I think an affair is not a big deal in these movies.
Well, they made it a big deal because it was her friend.
Yeah, it was her friend.
Way worse, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he had an affair with his secretary. I mean, that was probably super common of his generation and success.
Yes.
Well,
but like,
he actually hired her friend to be his secretary.
Damn.
So
I think her friend was like his TA or something because he's like a professor, right?
I don't know.
He does something with the law school.
Oh, no, he's a judge.
Oh, he's a judge.
Yeah, we see a painting of him in a judge cloak at his house because he's that kind of narcissist.
So she was working his gavel, is what you're telling me.
Oh, yeah.
Baloney.
Only Judy can jerk him.
Only Juddy can Jude me.
he sentenced her to master probation.
It is International Women's Month.
I'm sorry. Paige just refused to laugh at my joke.
Not until you give me my bath bombs.
I know. I need to order some for you.
Anyway, so she goes to get dressed, and along their mirror, they have a bunch of photos. That's how she finds out that she has a tattoo.
Yeah.
That she didn't realize. But my favorite is that there's just a random shirtless picture of Channing Tatum framed on the dresser.
That kind of narcissist, Todd.
I mean, yeah, I will also agree that a certain level of narcissist does that.
I'm going to do that just for fun and not tell Jake about it. And then he'll just be like, what? Where'd you even get this? And I'd have to be like, I did it while you were sleeping.
The weird thing is it was on Channing Tatum's side of the bed and he kisses it every night before he goes to sleep.
And then kisses his own bicep and then...
I love you, law. I love you, order. That's what he calls his guns, Mikey.
And then as he just drifts off, he's like, you have the right to be an attorney.
You have the right to sleep silently.
Anything you snore can and will be pressed against you. Anyway, she's getting out of the shower, trying to figure out what to wear. He walks in without knocking because it's his house and they're married. I understand the mistake.
Yeah, me too.
But we get to see his butt. Thanks for that.
That is the second time I wrote, "You're welcome," Paige, in my
Thank you.
notes. There is a third
It's a good butt. Wait, where's the third?
when they are getting in
later.
and out of the lake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I will say this in his defense. That was a cold-ass lake, guys. Give the man a break.
So she's like, you should knock. And he's like, I'm sorry. Mistake. Then she comes out wearing his Cub sweatshirt and jeans. And he's just like, oh, that's mine, actually. Like, haha. She doesn't know where anything in the kitchen is. And he's trying to apologize by making breakfast.
He made a pretty legit breakfast.
That's a legit breakfast.
Yeah.
I've enjoyed it a lot. He also tells her that she doesn't eat meat, which I do think is funny that like now that she doesn't remember, she's just like, I'm going to eat this bacon. And then the filet later, I was like, yes.
I really thought that was funny too. And like, if I woke up and was a vegetarian and didn't know that, and then someone smacked bacon out of my hand, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, I'm eating this. Like, I
Yeah.
don't remember being a vegan.
If I woke up and someone was like, you don't eat meat, I'd be like, this is a trap. Like, I've been kidnapped.
Yeah, who are you? Who are you people?
I would never decide that.
Did I know too much?
What are these weird clothes? A sweater?
Here's what they didn't tell you is that she's actually a secret agent. Ooh. Movies get better when you just make up random shit.
Yeah, now you're getting it.
So he has to go to work. And this is how we find out that he owns a recording studio.
Yeah, a recording space. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I could take you to your studio. And she's like, no, I'm just going to kind of figure stuff out. And he's like, all right, well, you've got your phone and your keys. And I'm like, no, because she doesn't know where she is. So she like leaves to go to that cafe and then can't find her way back.
Literally gets lost.
Meanwhile, he's at the recording studio with Orphan Black, and he's like, hey, how have things been while I've been in the hospital? And she's like, bad, dude. Like, the business is tough or whatever. And he's supposed to be there for a pitch, but he has to change and come back for it. And he can't make it because he's trying to look for her.
Yeah, because he realizes when he gets home that she is lost, or at least out of the house without her phone, and he sort of freaks out.
Right.
Because she is lost.
She is lost. Before she goes outside, she does find and watch their wedding video.
Yes.
Which personally for me would have been like proof, I guess. Like this would have been hard to deep fake or whatever. I don't know why he didn't give her that to begin with. Like Anyway, she goes to the cafe and she tries to order and they're like, you don't want the usual? And she's like, oh my God, I have a usual. That'd be perfect. Yes. Thank you. And she used to work there. Like, it shows her working there at one point. Nobody is like, hey, how are you? Like, nothing. It's really weird.
Like, they used to work with her. You would at least know her name, right?
Yeah. Especially if she kept coming in after, like,
Yeah.
Anyway, he can't find her. He comes back to the apartment, and in one shot, they reveal that this apartment has a Malm fireplace. So jealous. They're like $4,000, but it's the mid-century, like, cone ones.
Oh, yeah.
Super cool. Anyway, she left her phone, so she called her mom. Her mom brings her home. And they've bought her all new clothes. And it's very much like she and mom had a day. Her mom, of course, not telling her about all the time they spent not talking. It is all the facade, basically. So we cut to, they've invited them for dinner. So he goes to dinner with them. And she's like giving him notes on her family. He's like, no, I know about your family.
Yeah, like I may have never met them,
married.
But you told me a lot about them.
Yes. And she does ask him, like, when did I stop talking to them? And he's like, it was before we met. So, like, you made those decisions on your own.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with me.
Yeah, he more or less, he has the vibe of, that was completely your decision, and I respected your decision.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we cut to dinner, and he meets, like, the sister's fiance, and they, the sister's engaged, and her parents are there. They serve filet mignon, because clearly she was not always a vegetarian.
Yeah, because they point out that it was her favorite dish, which, I mean, filet mignon's great, so I get it.
Yeah,
but
delicious.
It is very funny that she went from being vegan to not vegan overnight.
Yeah.
And I have seen someone who was a practicing vegan fall off the bandwagon.
Oh, it makes you really sick.
On our way up to his ski trip, and he threw up halfway through the ski trip.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If your body has not eaten meat in a while, it does not immediately go back to it.
Yeah.
Well, just call me Gru, because I love a filleted mignon.
Because of Minions.
Wow. I hope they have you write the pun book for season 2 of The Last of Us.
Last of Us?
Son of a bitch, you're a
Filleted
genius.
minion, Todd. Filleted
No,
minion.
I get the joke. It was just so master level. My brain couldn't process now is when you laugh. I was so stunned by how funny it was.
I appreciate that.
Anyway, at dinner, they ask about, because Sam Neill is giving this whole, like, it's so good to have family back together. Don't you think we shouldn't keep families apart? Like, he's just laying it on thick. And he's like, so Channing Tatum, do you spend time with your family? He's like, no, not really. And he's like, oh, what a shame. Like, clearly trying to make this a him thing.
Yeah, but he gets high-roaded super immediately.
See,
Yeah.
I would have been like, I would have played a mind game and been like, no, I spend time with Paige's friends.
Oh,
well,
shit.
because that's true, because he knows.
No, right? I would have been like, back the fuck up.
That's next
Yeah.
level petty, and I love it.
Yeah. But he high roads the other direction, where he's like, no, I don't have any, like, my parents are dead, so Paige is my family now. Basically being like, you're taking my only family, basically. Yeah.
Not me. I'd have been like, have you ever hung out with Paige's friends? They're like real cool.
Do you know Diane? We saw her outside.
Yeah. Didn't they go to high school together?
Yeah.
Did you go to their graduation? That must have been fun, huh?
When you were window shopping?
Ooh.
And I would have said it loud. Like the whole table would have heard. They've been like,
like crush the wine glasses in their hands. Yeah. But this is also where we find out a little bit more about the recording studio. And I love that all at the table, they're like, isn't that a dying medium? Anyone can record things at home. And I'm like, if you don't understand how different it is to record things in a studio than it is at home, like,
They're
it's
like,
a whole different
music.
ball game.
isn't that for the plebes?
Here's the thing. Is it really great technology to record at home? Yes. Do a lot of people do it? Yes.
Yeah.
Are most recording studios still around? Also, yes.
Yes.
It's not an easy thing to learn how to do and master and edit.
The level at which he is producing,
Yes.
those places are still around. Those places still exist.
Absolutely. It's not like a karaoke box at a mall. Like, he has a real recording studio.
And most of those people are paying for studio time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Mikey, like, so we see one band in there, and they're working with him. He's like producing their album or whatever.
Yes.
When I was playing music, we were shopping around to do that.
Do that.
And it was common. The cost for that was around And this was 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
It was like 20 grand for 2 weeks. Like,
Yes, that is what I've heard as well. It's like $1,000 a day, give or take.
yeah. And so those people make good money.
And you can also rent the space without producing it. Rent it to a producer and a band.
Oh, they do that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was doing fine.
Yeah, so the fact that they were just like, fucking recording studio, I was like, you guys are idiots. Like, this is...
It basically is if he was like, there's this new thing called smartphones and we're making apps. And they're like, apps?
Like things you eat before dinner, you idiot.
Oh, I've got mozzarella sticks on my phone.
We are her terrible family right now.
Are you going to tell me you're going to be Mignon Freights out?
Fuck.
Mikey, what the fuck?
I'm not even sure I understood that one.
I think he was going for steak frites, like French fries.
French fries? Yeah,
but he
that's
went
what I thought
for
too.
Minion, like mignon.
Yeah,
But mignon is the type of cut.
right.
Filet is the piece of meat.
I like that joke because I feel like Mikey doesn't understand it, but it is funny. Does that make sense?
Look, I don't understand why I'm funny. No one understands why.
Mikey, I have made a career out of understanding why I'm funny and making it repeatable. Like that's
I can repeat it. I just don't know what I'm doing.
I find that so easy to believe, Mikey. Mikey, his epitaph is going to be Mikey Randolph, the accidental comic.
Todd, we actually only serve grass-fed mignons here.
What else do minions eat?
bananas. You clearly have not seen any of the Despicable Me films. But I just pictured Mikey's epitaph being Mikey Randolph. You die with that grave? Just or if you get cremated, you shit with that ash.
Oh shit! Yes, I love when we record late because they just get silly.
The worst
It
day
has
at
been a
work I
hell
have.
week.
Yeah. The dumb
Yeah, no,
shit,
I understand.
The dumber shit. I am like a 180 different at work, and then when I get here, I don't want to be that man anymore. don't want to be the man who walked 500 miles.
I want to be the man that fell down at my door. Hashtag self-care.
I just want to go home.
Hashtag should have fixed that one step because you fell down.
No, I got it, Paige. I loved it. That was great.
I'm just a simple man. I'm a mignon and potatoes kind of guy, you know?
Mikey, you keep saying that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
Sorry, I'm just picturing a round slice of minion.
It would look like a prime
It's still
rib
got
cut.
like one bone in the center of it, like the cartoon bone. Like it's a roast beast or something.
I don't think they have bones.
I don't think they have bones, Mikey. How do they walk around and do stuff with no bones?
Oh, yeah, I skipped over the fact that Mikey has a conspiracy theory where he thinks filet minions are jelly-filled. We're not going to get into it.
They're just meat.
It's just meat, just like a giant pill-shaped meat.
They're like walking chicken McNuggets.
Hold on. I need to share my screen.
Hang on, let me turn it on.
If one of my boobs falls out of this like One Piece thing, it's your fault.
This looks like...
Those are bones. We are now looking
bones.
at the
I'm wrong.
anatomy of a minion, and there are definitely bones there.
But there's a lot of... I think it is more of a prime rib cut. It would definitely be a rounded prime rib kind of cut.
Why does everything with you devolve into could we eat that?
They're not people.
So when you all thought Mikey was missaying mignon, he fully was not. He was just wanting to eat a minion. Whole stop. Like, that's it.
Are you telling me that you two wouldn't eat a minion?
Mikey,
I would absolutely eat a minion.
I tried.
I can't hear. I haven't heard Paige's life.
Just for the story, you gotta know, right?
Yeah,
They
I
taste
gotta
like
know.
bananas.
I mean, Hannibal Buress made a really strong case for a penguin sandwich, so I'd probably try one of those too.
I bet that'd be rubbery.
I think you're right.
I do believe it would be definitely a prime rib type cut. And I don't know if I would dip it in horseradish sauce or au jus, which would just be minion.
Definitely jus, but gru jus.
Gru jus?
Oh, that hurts so bad.
There was literally like a 2-minute time frame at which you were talking, but we could not hear you.
I don't think I've laughed that hard since It's a Me, Werner Herzog.
I don't know. I just know that when I see minions, I want to grill one up and eat it.
I love how everyone else's reaction is like, oh, they're adorable and they talk gibberish. And Mikey's like, they look delicious as fuck.
But they do also look like walking chicken nuggets. Like, Todd, I think you were the most accurate. Like, all we need is one of them to look kind of like a boot, and we'd have, like, the whole nugget set.
We have to move on.
My brain hurts.
It is 10:13 p.m.
Perfect time to grill up a minion.
Oh, man.
Get me some Arnold Palmers and some minion steaks, and you got yourself a barbecue.
I'm going to have to get in the car, go on down to Minion and Shakes.
They're just replacing the word steak.
He's literally
with minion.
yes. Yeah. He has controlled F the word steak in his brain over to minion. He just found and
But then
replaced
occasionally
steak.
mignon.
Mignon.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Mignon.
Depending upon how Froggy's feeling at the beginning of the joke.
Okay. Anyway, they go out for drinks after dinner, and this is the first time they run into Diane Shane, and they're like, oh, we don't hang out anymore. You don't remember anything, right? Cool. And then they introduce her to her high school friends who all haven't seen her for years and are just acting like it's normal and that nothing bad happened. And they know Diane. So, like, they know what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, because they were all high school friends together. They know why no one's hanging out with Diane anymore.
Yes. And then she runs into Jeremy, who, by the way, next to Channing Tatum, no thank you.
I know. When I saw who it
Jeremy.
was, I was like, Speedman? Really? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he's a hot dude, too, but he ain't no Channing Tatum. Come on.
You got to pull a notebook with this shit where you've got Ryan Gosling, James Marsden, and you're just like, this is a choice. Like,
Yeah. Ryan Gosling or Cyclops?
Cyclops is always third wheeling, man.
Yeah. But if I looked like Channing Tatum and like Jeremy came up and been like, oh, let me take my shirt off. Like, look
Yeah,
at these
right?
Hawaiian rolls, bitch.
Speaking of Cyclops, do you think the one-eyed minion tastes different? I'm so sorry.
Is that a euphemism for a penis, Paige? Sorry.
No. There's a minion
Oh.
with one eye.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's right. My bad. Okay.
Uh-huh. But yes, I will be definitely using that as a sexual pickup line in the near future.
You're welcome, Mikey.
Oh, no.
You want to meet my one-eyed minion?
It grows.
It's a grewer, not a shoer. Yeah.
Shit. Fucking minion humor, man. It just fucking pops.
God, it never quits,
The
baby.
boomers really had it right with the minions, man. We've been missing out this whole time.
I can't even talk. Oh, that's why they made 8 movies or whatever.
Because they're so delicious. It just pops off the screen.
I just really hope we one day get to all go to the same Brazilian minion house.
I just pictured a bunch of them on a sword.
and just Gru looking like chefs cutting them off at your table.
Yeah.
And
It's green. More minion.
Oh, do you have any more of the one eye? Yeah, when you get more one eye, bring it to the table.
Bring me that Parmesan encrusted mignon.
What if they're like walking sausages, like little smokies that are
shit.
people?
Why are we talking about minions like we've been in the desert for 30 days and we're like picturing each other as food?
I haven't had dinner yet, so in my defense, I am hungry. So they pretty much ignore Channing Tatum, and she has the like new guy get her drinks, and she's like flirting with her ex-fiance. It's really kind
Who
of sad.
she fully like sees as her fiance. Like she is like flirting with him pretty hardcore right in front of her husband.
Yeah. Which this was one of those things where I was like, it's at least kind to introduce him, you know, like.
I mean, she didn't though.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, yeah.
Like she just leaves him standing there. You know, I was just like, even just party etiquette would say, be nice and introduce him
yeah.
and involve him in conversation. Like, yeah.
But she sees her ex-fiancés and she's like just focused on him.
And like, girl, why? You got Magic Mike right there.
I know, literally right in front of you. Like,
Yeah, that's what this movie was missing. Him on top of the table with a bounce.
I'm just a husband.
Looking for my wifey. She flew through the window and now she don't remember anything.
My minion, jump on it.
No.
One-eyed minion.
There's so much to love about that outside of it just being very funny. It was like Mikey doing a musical joke. I loved it.
Where do they get all their little pants and stuff?
They have to have mignon tailors.
It's like a whole minion ecosystem.
Yeah, so like they work for each other. They pay each other minion dollars.
Yeah, and it's communism.
I was going to make a mignon skirt joke because it's a cut of beef, but it's also a clothing.
Yeah.
We gotta get through this movie. Although, what if we just were like, fuck the movie. We're just gonna talk about Minions for another 20 minutes and call it a day.
I think people might notice, but would they care?
No.
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
don't know.
The science. We have to find out.
We can re-grill them. We have the technology.
Anyway, so we cut to him at the recording studio talking to Orphan Black. And she's like, well, what turns her on? He's like, that's private. And he's like, tickling. And she's like, okay, so try that.
Actually, first she's like, no kink shaming here. He's like, it's not like that. It's romantic. I'm like, okay, buddy.
Yeah, whatever. You definitely responded in a way that made it seem like it was real kinky.
Das protest too much there.
I mean, but he didn't really get into her real kink about her loving the smell of his farts.
Yeah, that's the real one.
Her real kink was fooling around the car, but we learned our lesson.
I mean, her real kink might be exhibitionism,
Yeah, it might be exhibitionism.
but like, listen, get into it.
No kink shame, kink fame.
Yeah, but like pull off the road first, Paige. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
just
yeah,
stop
yeah.
at a stop sign.
Yeah, pull off the road, stand on the hood, play a bass guitar, jump, and have flames on the side of it.
Yeah, whatever you want to do, Mad Max. It's up to
Yeah,
you.
whatever. Anyway, she shows up at Jeremy's office and she's like, why'd we break up? And he's just like, I don't know. And doesn't tell her.
It's just like you to show up at my office after breaking up with me and then demand that I give you answers.
Right, right.
Which I thought was pretty funny.
It is funny, but he doesn't tell her. Like, he could have just been like, here's what you said to me, honestly.
He very high levels it. He's like, you changed and you rethought going to law school and you rethought our relationship and wanted to change both. He does not give specifics. It is very high level. Like because I'm sure he knows about the affair too. He does not tell her.
Sure. But he doesn't even tell her, like, this is what you said to me. He just is like, you changed, so.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so, and she kind of, I think, is like, well, maybe, what if I just got my old life back? What if this is a do-over? And he's like, well, I am with this girl that knew your sister. And he's like, I couldn't wait forever. And she's like, yeah, this is kind of an odd situation. You couldn't have predicted this. But then they end up kissing. And I was just like, dude.
Yeah, I sort of hated that.
Is it raining?
I don't know, man.
I gotta bring the dog in.
With the dog's been outside this whole time. He runs like a minion.
He does run like he'd be delicious.
So online it says minions aren't made of real meat. They are made of animation.
Delicious animation.
While actual minions would almost certainly be banana flavored. Who wrote this? An AI? I'm on to you, ChatGP. They breed sexually. What?
What?
Given that they seem to be genderless, it's more likely that they are created and bred in artificial gestation chambers.
That implies that there is a minion romance movie out there, and I demand we do it.
Hold up. Minion porn images.
Oh, I guarantee you minion porn works. Like, that's a thing. I guarantee you.
I don't want to search that.
Can I share the screen, Todd?
Yeah, you can. Wow.
I mean, like, all of these, what the fuck? All of these are troubling. What is this?
That is a minion with a fidget spinner on his dick,
But
Paige.
also his dick looks like a rubber chicken.
Yeah, he's a minion.
Wait, what?
That's just Danny DeVito fucking a minion.
I don't like sexual organs on a minion. I don't like this.
There's so much to hate about what we just saw. I'd rather watch 2 hours of that than watch Redeeming Love again.
Same. Anyway, back to this movie. So, like, we cut back to the apartment, and she's going through all the photos, and she has all the photos of things that she remembers, and then a whole set of photos that she's like, these are the lost years.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ask him to help you put those together. Like, you know, something. No.
That would have been a really, I think, romantic, and if not romantic, at least like shedding some light on how they fell in love. But we just don't get that.
Well, when the doctor later asks her, does she want to remember? I was like, that's a good question.
It is.
Because it seems like she does not, you know? Not that that would make a difference. Like I'm not saying that she doesn't, air quotes, deserve to remember. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that, like, she is not really invested in what her old life was. And by old life, I mean the time that she lost in general.
The 5 years.
You know?
Yeah, I agree, Paige. That's definitely what the movie is doing. But the doctor saying that to me felt very much like the faith healer's escape route, where he's just like, oh, it didn't work for you because you didn't believe enough.
Right. And that's bullshit.
Right. Yeah. But the doctor is right. Every brain is different. Thus, every brain injury is different. And we're just sort of going off what normally happens.
Right.
But, you know, it is anybody's guess, really, as to what is going to happen. And she never gets her memory back. So
she never gets her memory back. He does try to tickle her and she flips out. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. Was that one of our things? And he's like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. Don't even worry about it. And then this is where he goes behind the door and cries. It's so sad.
Yeah. You can tell it hurts him, man. Like, this is the one time I think he does a really good job of actually showing how he's feeling.
Yes. We cut to, she wants to go see her studio. There's a real weird thing in this where the TV is on and you overhear what's happening on the TV. And it's like protests in the street as another police shooting. And then they just leave. And I was like, wait, what? Was this about to be more interesting? Like, no.
Were there about to be stakes in this movie? Excuse me. Were there about to be minions in this movie?
Anyway, so he takes her to the studio and she is just overwhelmed instantly by that studio, by the music, by the clay, all of it.
Well, yeah. Mr. Genius here is like, I'll turn the music on like you like, which is apparently like 211 where you can't hear anything. And she's like, I have a brain injury and my head hurts.
Yeah.
Every time she takes a half step in the right direction, he like pushes her over the edge immediately. I'm like, let her explore and do things on her own.
He does, but I also agree with what he says to her next, which is, I'm trying to help you, but I'm not your punching bag. We don't speak to each other like this. And I was like, that's correct. I understand that she's frustrated. I understand that he's frustrated, but they need to be communicating. And she actively doesn't want to communicate with him, like, at all.
Yeah. And he is like, hey, this is hard for me too. Like,
yeah.
And it would be so hard. Like,
it would be. He was also in the accident. Like, I realized that she has the brain injury, but he also had a recovery time. Like,
yeah.
He is dealing with a fucking lot. And does he need to be more patient with her sometimes? Yes. Should he not just expect her to someday be back to normal? Yes, because he has to kind of meet her where she is. But, like, you can still be kind to each other. It's wild.
Could she still be kind to him? Yeah, also,
both of them, yeah.
But he does wear sweaters.
I love a good sweater.
And her family's like not that kind of people, you know?
I do feel like they are sweater people, though, Mikey.
Rich people fucking love sweaters.
In this film, they're jacket people.
Well, that's a smoking jacket that would go over your sweater.
Or a sensible blazer to wear over, like, an Oxford shirt.
Yeah. Anyway, the next day, she's like, I'm leaving to go with my parents because of my sister's wedding or whatever. And he's just like, okay.
It is the biggest bullshit excuse just to leave the house, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go help my sister while she's getting ready to get married. It's just for the 2 weeks up to the wedding or whatever. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm not going to do the art thing I was doing. Don't worry about it.
Dude, when he gets back and someone else is there and we don't know immediately who it is, I was like, I swear to God, if Jeremy walks out of that bathroom zipping up his fly, I'm going to punch him in the face.
Yeah.
But that's not what happened. It's her dad that's there. And clearly she was writing a note as Channing Tatum walked in to be like, hey, I'm going to go live with my parents.
Yeah, and he's like, do you have any new friends in the city I could meet? Or
yeah. Oh, God. So we cut to, she's at the doctor and the doctor's like, how are you feeling? Your scans are all great, but you haven't remembered anything. And she's like, I mean, that can happen, but let me talk to you alone. Because I think even the doctor has kind of figured out that the parents are kind of manipulating the situation a little bit.
I absolutely think so. And they are treating her, I think, like she is still in high school, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like she has to then ask her mom to leave as well. She's like, Mom, please leave. Like I want to have this conversation with my doctor. I am an adult.
Right. And this is where the doctor is like, hey, some people are afraid because they don't want to remember the trauma. You probably won't. No one ever does. And she's like, no, I'm not afraid of the accident. But like, what if I don't like the life I had? Or what if I like it too much? I don't understand. And I do like the advice that the doctor gives her, which is like, try to figure out as much as you can. And then you can decide with all the information what you want to do moving forward. Yeah.
It's great advice.
We cut to the studio. He shows up. And this is where they're working with that band that he will eventually work with and kind of make their music better. For right now, it's bad. And he's like, I can't be at the studio. I have to follow her up to her parents' place because if that's where she's going to be, that's where I have to be. I got to make her fall in love with me again.
Yeah, and the parents were in
Lake Forest. I don't know distance-wise what that means, but
I looked it up actually.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, her parents were in Lake Forest, which is like an hour away from like downtown Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it is a drive. Like I get that he would want to like go and stay in a hotel or something down there to be close to them.
Right. And we cut to her sisters. I assume this is kind of like their wedding is a week from then. So like a rehearsal dinner kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's kind of winning over her sister and her sister's fiance.
Yeah.
Because he kind of like calms the fiance down and talks to the sister. And eventually they, when talking to Rachel McAdams, are kind of like, I kind of like him. Like maybe he's not so bad.
That's after their one first date. When she gets home, the sister's like, do you like him? She's like, yeah, I think I do. And her sister responds with, yeah, I think he's great.
Yeah. So we cut to, he basically pitches to Rachel McAdams. He's like, whenever you read a book that you really like and then you lend it to someone, don't you wish you had the experience of reading it for the first time all over again? He's like, let's try that with our relationship. We have a chance to do the firsts all over again.
Yeah.
And she's just like, fine. Okay. Like, whatever. So he picks her up for a date. And I do love the, like, she's like, I have to be back by 10 in the morning. And he's just like, oh, you're inviting yourself to stay. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he takes her to the parking spot where they met and takes her to the cafe. And it's good. And they're laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. And we never see her relationship with Jeremy. We don't know what it was like. But for me, it's like these dates right here seem almost as good as the first ones. And so there's a part of me that like when she doesn't want to kind of continue exploring it, I'm like, I don't understand.
I don't understand that either.
Yeah.
I think it's just the uncomfort of him freaking out afterwards.
Maybe.
I'm just like, I need you to be consistently patient. I want to do this with you, but when you jump ahead, I feel uncomfortable.
But here's the thing. She could have said that.
Yeah, she doesn't.
If people said what they're supposed to say, we wouldn't have a podcast about this.
That's true. I mean, what I needed from her was, as he was eager for her to just be like, I understand, but you have to remember, I don't remember what you do. I don't have what you have. I want to try and build it, but I need to build it for me because I don't remember it, you know?
Yeah.
And they drive down to the lake.
And then he gets naked.
And they jump in.
And she's like, oh, okay, yeah. This is good.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, maybe I am remembering
I do remember.
things.
Yeah, I remember. I'm getting a twinge or something. I really like, one-eyed minions.
Anyway, he carries her back to the car. They wrap up in blankets. And he's like warming up her hands. They go back to their apartment where she's like, only first base. Although, do you think they only went to first base?
No,
I think they definitely went to at least second base. Do you think they had sex that night?
I think they did, and we just don't see it.
I think full-blown adults do not stop at second or third base.
Especially ones that are legally still married. Go for it.
Then why not show us that? Like,
because this movie's not great.
That's fair.
We didn't see it the first time either. This isn't 365 where it's like, we're going to have 15 minutes of just boat sex.
Of just jackhammering on a boat.
Okay, that's enough.
That dude must do so much cardio.
I like when I say things and it audibly makes Mikey embarrassed. I think it's adorable.
Hey, Mikey, I checked to see when the last 365 we did to see if I could do another one if it was high time, but we've got a couple more months, so you're safe for now.
Oh, I mean, I like doing those episodes.
They are crazy.
Yeah.
Where'd that bullet come from?
God. We solved it when we did the first episode. Right. God killed his father or aliens.
So here's my question. If they boned it out, she doesn't remember anything. Do you think the sex would be different? Because all that 5 years of extra sex experience, gone.
He's like, you fuck like a high schooler. This sucks.
She was in college. She remembers back to college, to law school.
I feel like the body doesn't forget. If her hands remembered sculpting Paige,
That's
who knows
true,
what else they did.
maybe. Anyway.
It's called muscle memory.
Honestly, she would think he's amazing because he would know all the things.
Yes.
Oh, he would. Yeah, this would be the best first time sex for her, for sure.
Yeah, and you know what? The memories of that sex, you take it with you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Well, I mean,
So-
you take it with
so
you
what?
until you're hit by a car.
Yeah, so what you're saying, Paige, is if he was really good at dicking her down, she wouldn't have forgot about it from the accident?
No. I was just making a joke.
Yeah, you were making an end of ghost joke. I got it.
I was making
Yeah,
an end of ghost
I got
joke.
it.
Yeah.
But
oh,
think
yeah.
think about
Okay, I put it
about
together.
okay, you just put yourself in her shoes for a second. You wake up from a coma. They're like, Channing Tatum's your husband, and your first reaction isn't to be like, cha-ching, hello, yes.
I would reverse the roles. If I woke up and you two were like, "This is Rachel McAdams, your wife,"
Your wife.
Your wife.
I'd be like, "What the fuck? Sweet.
Yeah, fucking jackpot.
How rich am I?"
How many minions could we afford to eat every day?
14. They go on this date. It's a super fun, like, chemistry out the whatever.
Yeah.
They go home. They bone down, and he's amazing because he does know all the things. Like, you're telling me that he's going to drop her back off of the house and she's going to be like, thanks for nothing, bye.
Yeah.
Like, no. They show her crying after, which I think is supposed to be her being conflicted.
Yes.
But then she doesn't really seem to be. She doesn't make any attempt to go back to her, like to him or whatever. She ditches him at that wedding.
I agree, because we do see her get back and he drops her off. And Mikey's brought this up.
Yeah.
That exchange goes badly because he's like, hey, we've been on one date and I fully love you. Why don't you love me?
Well, if you want to kill great sex, immediately turn to your third date partner and say, "I love you."
This is their first date, though, Mikey.
But here's the thing. Even though I know she doesn't remember, I think even in not remembering, I would be like, if what he says is true, if we were married, I do expect that. That is not surprising to me.
Which also, at this point, you know you're married to him. You've seen the
know
wedding
you're
video.
married to him.
Yeah, like you've seen proof.
But I could see it freak because he doesn't just say, he's like, "I miss missing you. I've missed this. I've missed you, and I'm
Yeah,
so
why
glad to have you
wouldn't
back.
you?
And we're gonna be happy forever together again. And I love you." And he's like, "Okay."
I mean, I would say it merits a, hey, slow down, I'm uncomfortable. It doesn't
Yeah.
merit a complete cutoff.
Right.
And he was like, "That's not what you were saying earlier."
Well, she goes inside, she cries, and because she's like, he's really nice, but then that we never follow through on that.
No. But that's the scene where her and her sister are talking.
And the sister is also like, I like him.
Yeah.
It seems like she's gonna go with it. Like, it's kind of weird, tonally within the film.
Yeah.
And then we cut to her sister's wedding where she just abandons him at that wedding. He is left alone the entire time. And Jeremy's there.
I felt so bad for him.
I felt terrible for him.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like, at least be kind. Like, that's the thing that drove me nuts is I'm like, I get that you don't remember him. But you, at this point, you know he is your husband.
Yes.
And you have not officially broken up yet. You just went on this date or whatever. At least be polite and cordial.
I get that she has a lot going on, but she is casually inconsiderate to him.
Constantly.
Yeah.
And I get that she's got a brain injury.
Yeah.
I understand. But there is a level of just interpersonal kindness that she does not extend to him. And he's not the villain. He's not a bad guy.
No, he's actually a really good guy.
Yeah. Anyway, Jeremy is there. And Jeremy basically like goads him into hitting him.
Yeah.
Like, it's not right to hit him. Violence is not the answer.
But he pretty much is like, but I'm going to be fucking your wife later. So whatever, dog.
Yes. And says your wife. Like specifically is like, oh, I'll think about that when she's in my bed later, when I'm fucking your wife. And I'm like, that's a incendiary thing to say. That's fucked up. And he still hasn't broken up with that other girl. So he's like, I'm actively going to cheat on the girl that I'm with your wife because I fucking can. It's fucked up.
Yeah. I don't think they do actually end up to, like, I don't think
I don't
her
think they
and Jeremy
do. Yeah.
even date, but I definitely
so
think
either.
that is like his plan.
Yeah, so he hits Jeremy and stomps outside. She chases him and she's just like, what the fuck happened? And he's like, we need to end this because you're clearly not into me.
Yeah.
I see the way you look at him.
It's how you used to look at me.
Yeah, you're a stranger. I'm not trying to hurt you, but like this is not working. We need to separate. And earlier at the wedding, her dad was like, basically we'll pay you to divorce her. Like it's real her family is awful.
Very toxic.
But he clearly doesn't take that money, even though they do get divorced, because we see him shutting down his businesses and stuff. Or his.
Well, no, because he still has the recording studio later.
Yeah, he probably just sells the studio.
It is. So it's just packing up her studio, not his. Okay, that makes sense then.
Right.
Yeah, he just cashes out that like $400,000 or $500,000 he paid for that studio.
Yeah.
Nice.
Geez. Anyway, so he leaves, and what's really funny is there's kind of like an editing issue here where he leaves the wedding and then it cuts immediately to him walking down the street at home. But we know he lived like an hour away. But because we didn't see him like get into a car or go on a train or anything, it just looks like he walked home. Because it literally cuts like street to street.
What you don't know is it's been 2 days since the wedding.
He did walk home.
He walked the whole way.
Oh, just sad Charlie Brown music the whole time.
All the way from Chicago to Louisiana.
Anyway, we cut to him in the recording studio and he's like, I give up. If we were supposed to be together, we'd be together. And we're not. So we're not. And he packs up her studio.
Yeah.
He leaves that one trash heap outside and it just serves to show us the seasons that pass.
Yeah, the passage of time.
He signs the divorce papers. She's already signed them. He adopts the alleyway cat.
Yes.
Which I love.
Love that.
Very
and we get
sweet.
him like playing with the cat or like just loving on the cat. And like her montages are like setting up her sister's baby's new room, that kind of stuff. So we see a lot of passage of time stuff. So like when we finally get the last scene that we're about to talk about, like it does make sense that she may have like...
I do think that the cat was the true villain when we have that Kaiser Soze moment.
No.
Where the cat was driving the truck.
No. See, what you're missing is there was a post-credit scene where the cat unzipped itself like in Cats and a minion crawled out.
It was the
Mignon.
Meowman.
Oh, Mignon.
Anyway, in the montage, we cut to her in the grocery store and she runs into Diane. And Diane is like, hey, I'm so sorry. I haven't seen you, but I wanted to talk to you. And she's like, oh no, I've been away. It's been a weird time. And she's like, I just wanted to apologize. Your dad ended it as soon as your mom confronted him about us. I'm so sorry. I was going through things. I never meant to hurt you. You were always a really good friend, and I feel terrible for how I've treated you. It is a genuine apology.
It is. It's actually very sweet. Although, because she is just getting this information about her dad's affair for the first time for the second time, she doesn't know how to process the apology. You know what I'm saying?
I think she does a good job because she just says, thank you. I appreciate that you told me and that you said something, because what she's realizing now in this moment is no one else told her.
Yeah.
Like she knew, like this is why she left, and she's kind of like putting the pieces together. And this is where she asks her sister, she's like, you knew the whole time? And she's like, I'm sorry. And she says, don't talk to me. And we don't know if that's you knew the whole time the affair was going on, or you knew the whole time that this is why I left and you deliberately didn't tell me. Both are terrible.
Both are bad. Yeah. I think it's worse if the sister knew the whole time the affair was going on.
Right.
But it's bad either way.
It's bad either way. So she rides her bike home and confronts her mom. Now, here's the thing. Her mom's speech of this one thing did not destroy the entire relationship. I have memories and things I understand. I think each relationship is different.
Yeah.
And if this was the only time it happened, then maybe that's something you work through.
Yeah.
But I feel like because he hid it and it wasn't something that he came to her about, he got caught. I'm a lot less amenable to that solution.
I sort of agree, but largely because he is positioned sort of as not a great dude in this movie.
Yeah.
I definitely understand, like, if you stayed with someone who cheated and worked through it, you know, cool. That's fine. Like, that is completely up to the couple, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the people do work through that.
Now, what she does say here, where she's like, you used my accent to rewrite the past. And I was like, yes,
that
they
is
did.
accurate.
That's fucked up. This is grounds for not speaking to any of them again. And no one would blame you for it.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. Like, The fact that this movie feels the need to relitigate and have her still have a relationship with them, I was like, that's kind of fucked up, by the way.
I sort of liked at the end of it that she was going to continue to have a relationship with her family. Like, I do feel like, I don't know, and this is different
They
for
tried to
everybody,
gaslight
but,
her into, they almost kidnapped her.
No, you're
Like,
not
they
wrong.
used her brain injury to lie to her. Like,
yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong about any of that. I don't know. This is going to sound terrible. For me, finding out my dad had cheated on my mom is not a reason for me to stop talking to my dad and mom. So, like, it made me very sad that she hadn't talked to them for 5 years about it.
My dad
I think it depends on the relationship.
a ton, but my mom kicked him out eventually. I think by the last thing, he was also, there's other stuff going on, obviously, but like, I think it was to the point where if she did not kick him out, I probably would not be talking to my parents much if they were still together and miserable as they were.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. We don't know that they are. But I also understand.
Now, Todd, would you talk to your mom if she fucked one of your friends? Like, say, a podcast co-host?
Honestly, yeah.
Just to check in and make sure you did it right.
Yeah.
But
I want to know all that tea.
I fully understand. If, like, one of my friends, that would make me furious. Like, there would be a lot to process. And it's not just the affair. It's the law school that I think she was unsure about and wasn't enjoying. It was the pressure to do that. Because when she says that she's going to leave law school again, he does not take it well.
No, he's like, it's happening all over again. Yeah.
It's happening all over
He's like,
again.
why don't you take it well, like your friend Diane?
Jeez.
I like that this movie, because she does, over the next like few scenes, sort of remake the changes that she already made in her life, but now not as a direct result of the affair necessarily.
Yeah, she does choose them for herself just because she wants them. Yes.
Yes, which I dug that part of the movie.
I didn't ever think that she only chose the other things because of the affair in the first place. I think maybe the affair was the catalyst to, I need distance and that's going to make me choose other things.
Yes, I agree with that completely.
Yeah. Anyway, so she then again remakes these decisions. She's doodling in law school. She decides to leave. But when her dad is like, hey, what are you doing? Like, you're leaving again. She's like, this isn't about you. This is about me. I'm making this decision independent of anything you've done.
Yeah. And this isn't about you was really more like, this isn't about your affair. Like, that's not why I'm leaving this time. Like, this is something that I need to do for me.
Right.
Which I liked that she clarified that, because I really do think he is just like a guy who has made mistakes but wants to have a relationship with his daughter and realizes that, like, that's not necessarily all up to him. You know, it's up to her because she's an adult, you know?
I mean, yeah, when you're no longer lying to her
And I
the
think,
entire time and manipulating an adult into staying in a place without all the information.
Yeah, and I think he has good reason to fear that she might do that based on his actions. I'm not saying that he is guiltless in anything, Paige, but I do think that her saying that to him sort of like calms him down in a way. Like, okay, so I'm not going to lose the relationship with my daughter. She's just going to move an hour away.
Right. I still think she shouldn't talk to them. not after that much lying. You could never trust anything they ever said ever again.
No,
I mean, they would just tell you.
I get it.
You don't remember.
I completely get that, Paige. It would be hard. Yeah.
Yeah. No thanks. But then she goes to Channing Tatum's house and ruins his date.
Oh yeah, he was bringing her back home.
Oh yeah.
Yes, ruins his date. That girl wisely books it, and she's like, "Hey, did you know about my dad's affair?" And he's like, yes. And she's like, why didn't you tell me? And he's like, I almost did, but I felt like it would be me driving you away from them for my own gain, essentially. Which is a complicated choice. I would have wanted to know,
it's very
but I understand.
noble, but like also, I mean,
it is noble, but also I agree.
My petty ass wouldn't have been able to hold it in too long.
No,
I would have told her immediately.
Here's another thing that this movie, because this movie inserts these tonal scenes where I think like a lot of people would choose to stay with Channing Tatum and she doesn't. And this is one of them where it's like, for me, this is one more piece of information that's like, everything he said was true.
Yeah. Yeah. He's the only person that did tell her the truth the whole time.
Yes.
He did not tell her everything because he didn't feel like it was necessarily his place, I guess, which I sort of get his rationale behind that because it does appear self-serving.
It was before his time.
Yes.
Like I kind of, he's kind of removed. He didn't know the parents. I understand his a little more. I still don't like it.
Same.
I understand it. But for them to literally gaslight her into thinking that their rift did not happen.
Yeah,
Like,
it is
no.
wild. You're right.
Yeah.
No, we cut to her and Jeremy where they've gone out for lunch and he's like, oh, by the way, I dumped that other girl for you. And she's like, what? No, like and he's like, well, the old you's back. And she's like, I'm not the old me. I'm just me. I have to figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, are you sure you don't remember our breakup? Because that's what it sounded like. Because he's a total dick. Jeremy's the worst.
Yeah.
She does a mural for her sister who is now expecting a baby. He's working in the recording studio, cuddling with the cat.
Yeah.
Then he goes to the cafe on a snowy day to get hot chocolate and runs into her there because she's like, hey, I actually moved to the city 6 months ago. I'm back in art school. Like, I've remade all these choices. And she's like, well, didn't we used to go to this other Cuban place? Let's go there. And he's like, do you remember? And she's like, no, but I befriended one of our friends because, like,
Yeah.
turns out we would have been friends regardless. And she said that you're not seeing anyone right now. And I'm not seeing anyone right now. And she's like, so do you want to go to the Cuban place? And he's like, no, let's try a new place that we haven't been to yet. Someplace new.
Yeah.
And she says, I like that. He says, after you.
And
that's
the
the
movie. Although I will say this about them running into each other, quote unquote, at the hot chocolate place. Like, she was staking that place out. That place
absolutely.
was closed for a snow
She was
day.
mignoning that place out?
Oh, yeah. She was literally on a mignon out, waiting
Just
for
sitting in
him
the
to
car
crawl up
eating
to it. Yeah.
fried minion skins. Pork mignon.
Pork mignon. Anyway, having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, what did you guys think about The Vow?
I wanted to see him win her back. Like,
Same.
that's what I want. I wanted the 50 First Dates version of this movie where like 90% of 50 First Dates is him making her fall in love with him every day. And that's why people love it and forget that it is problematic and kind of dark when you think about it too long.
I think this movie is like, it's tough, it's stale, just like mignon jerky.
I knew it. I knew he was going somewhere with the minions. I agree with Paige in the sense that it is like, I think it's very much what you would expect out of this kind of movie. It's nothing new or different.
Yeah.
Should you watch it? Sure, if you're in the mood for a Nicholas Sparks kind of movie.
I
But it's
guess.
nothing outside of that. I probably wouldn't
No,
revisit it.
Nicholas
you know?
Sparks movies usually bone down at least.
That is true. And if there is that one sex scene that you hypothesize,
Yeah.
it literally is just a guess whether they do more than kiss because they don't show it.
Yeah, they don't show it. They fade to black the whole
Mm-hmm.
thing.
They duck under the table and then cut to the door. Yeah. So, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't get any of that stuff.
Yeah. We don't get the slam up against the fridge and then 2 minutes of like topless sex scene.
Oh, yeah.
Like the best romantic comedy, Terminator.
Toss around pipe bombs the next day, just celebrating.
Actually, I do think now that I think back on that scene page, they did have sex because if you're listening, his radio in the house is playing Boulevard of Broken Dreams. So that's like their go-to song. Anyway, Paige, do you have any fun facts for us?
Yes, I do indeed. And I am gonna tell you all my facts.
Well, hit us with those fun facts. Green Day, fun facts.
Did you know Green Day are from Oakland? Yeah. Hometown heroes. Yeah, they own a coffee company there now. It's called Oakland Coffee.
Do they call their coffee like Dookie?
No, it's just Oakland Coffee, but then they sell it along with their merch. And it's kind of cool. They like branded it pretty sweet. I haven't tried the coffee
Nice.
though. I'm not a coffee person.
Meh. I'm a creamer person. That sounds it's more sexual than I wanted.
I always suspected this about you.
I just don't like bitter. So like I need a lot of creamer in my coffee is what I'm saying.
I'm just picturing you just knocking back a whole thing of coffee mate. Gross.
Just like, oh God. Coffee mate
Milk was a bad choice.
I don't drink milk. I only drink coffee creamer.
I drink 2 glasses of half and half to make it whole.
All right, let's get to the fun facts page. Or was that the fun fact?
No. So as we hinted at, this story is based on the story of Kim and Cricket Carpenter. They wrote a book in 1993. about what happened. And so essentially they wrote a book in 1996. The accident happened in 1993, and they spent 3 years basically redating and then got remarried until 2018 when they got divorced because it turns out he cheated on her. Kind of a bummer. I would have liked to have been like, they're still together. It's amazing. But she also never regained her memory, which is wild. And they do have 2 children together from after.
Yeah.
Because, fun fact, they got married in 1993, and 2 months after their wedding, they got in a horrific car accident.
Oh, Jesus.
She was in a coma for 3 weeks, which at that point, I'm like, yeah, you just got married. I understand not remembering that you're married. Like, geez.
Yeah, you were in a coma almost longer than you were married.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Meatloaf's I Do Anything for Love came out in 1993. So it's kind of a nod to when the story actually happened.
Yeah.
The movie development for this, based on that book, started in the 90s, but has been stuck in development hell the entire time until 2010. And originally they wanted Julia Roberts to play the lead.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, but as, she got older, it took longer to make the movie. They had to make changes. Now, Channing Tatum revealed on the Ellen DeGeneres show that in the scene where he's naked and he walks in and doesn't knock, he wore a giant fake prosthetic, basically like a giant fake dick to just get
like
a reaction.
Dirk Diggler or whatever?
Yes. And in part because like we see him from the back, but in nude scenes like that, you usually do wear like privacy patches and things for both your own comfort and that of the other actors. But so instead of just the patch, he covered the patch with a giant prosthetic just so that when she looked, she would have kind of a crazy reaction to it. And that's take they used. Yeah.
Awesome.
So that's the take they used.
I love
and you
that.
can also kind of tell because as he kind of like walks in the other room, he kind of like smirks and laughs.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of fun. Now, there is, if you look at the fun facts for this movie, it is everything I've basically just told you, and then a whole list of everyone who has ever been considered for these roles ever. By the way, it's everyone. If you were an actor or actress at the time, you were probably considered for this movie.
Yeah.
And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige. Let's talk a little bit about box office. So this movie came out in 2012. What do you think the budget for The Vow was, again, in 2012?
Well, I think they really poured a lot of money into this because they figured the world was going to end that year, so why not? No, I'm kidding. I think this cost like $15 million.
What'd you say?
15.
Okay, Mikey, what did you say?
I'm gonna add $10 million for like embezzlement stuff, so like 25.
You guys are both a little low. It was
What?
the same budget as the movie we did last week, $30 million.
Well, at least there were famous people in this one.
You mean still famous people?
Faux Tom Hardy is famous.
Now, if you adjust for inflation, it's actually closer to $40 million at $39.3 million. Because this movie, of course, came out way before Redeeming Love did. Now, this movie premiered in the box office right when you would want it to for this kind of movie. On February 10th, 2012, it was number 1 that week. It beat the number 2 movie was Safe House.
Oh, Safe House, though.
Number 3 was Journey 2, The Mysterious
wait.
Island.
I thought Safe Haven. I was wrong. Safe House is something completely different.
It is, yeah. Number 4 was a re-release of Star Wars The Phantom Menace in 3D. And number 5 was Chronicle. So what do you think The Vow made in its opening weekend when it was number 1, the weekend of February 10th, 2012?
I remember this movie was a thing, so I bet it made fuck you money. I'm going to say it makes 40 mil that weekend.
All right, Mikey, what do you think?
I'm gonna say 30.
Paige is super close. Actually, Safe House made $40 million. The Vow made $41.2 million. So a little bit more, and that's how it edged it out to get number 1 spot that week. But it was in the theaters for a total of 14 weeks. It was in the top 5 the first 3 weeks, and in the top 10 the first 5 weeks. This movie did pretty well. So what do you think it made in the domestic box office performance?
89.
Okay. Mikey, what do you think?
110?
Mikey, you're closer. It was $125 million.
Ooh.
Yeah, it made a lot of money. That's just domestically. It made another $72.6 million internationally for a total of $197.6 million in 2012. If you adjust that to today's dollars, that's $258.9 million. And that doesn't include the additional $34.4 million they made in the home market, like DVD, Blu-ray sales, that kind of shit. This movie made a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that is your box office. So, Mikey, do you want to hit him with that romance scale?
Yeah, romance scale is a scale of 1 to 10 of how romantic we found the film today. Paige.
1.
What?
No, 2. 2 for the before times with her and Channing Tatum, and what I hope is their later times.
I was going to give it a 3 because I do think they have chemistry. I just wish we got more of it.
I'm going to give it a 4 because I ended up tearing up at the end speech.
Oh,
Oh, that's
Mikey.
fair. That's fair.
But I didn't sleep a lot, so like maybe that was one to do with it. Anyway, that's our romance scale.
Well, this week I made you guys watch The Vow. Paige, it's your week next week. What
Yeah,
are you going to
Paige.
make us watch?
I've been thinking about this the entire time because my original pick was the next 365, but it's not time yet.
Well, that's not necessarily true. Your original pick was a Lance Bass joint.
No, that was after. Once I was like,
that's
it's
right.
too
Okay, you're right.
too soon for 365. Then I tried to pick On the Line featuring Lance Bass and Emmanuel Chiriqui, but it's not streaming. It's only on Vudu, basically. And I was like, no, I need it wider reach. But after watching this movie, I'm going to pick the movie that I wanted this movie to be. And that is 50 First Dates.
Nice. Okay.
Let's do it. Let's dive into it. Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm honestly thrilled to finally watch this because since you guys have been sort of arguing about it over the show's run, I have wanted to see it, but I didn't want to see it until we did the episode, so it was my first watch through. So I'm looking forward to it.
I have not seen it in a long time, I'm sure. And here's the thing, Todd. Everything Mikey says is correct.
Oh, I'm sure
That's
it
not
is.
wrong.
Yeah.
It just also somehow doesn't ruin the movie for me. Like, I know I'm wrong, but I also think, Todd, you're going to watch this movie and be like, oh my God, this is so great. But then also at the end be like, wait a second. Oh no. That's how this movie goes. But for the 90% of the movie where they're just falling in love every day, it will make you A, want to go to Hawaii, but also B, be like, this is why Wedding Singer works so well, because they work so well together.
Yeah.
And I've set the bar so low with redeeming love that
That's
can
true.
something
That's
be
true.
more unhealthy? Yeah.
No.
We'll find out.
I'd still vote 50 First Dates over Redeeming Love any day of the week. And it has a great soundtrack.
Well, your homework for next week is to enjoy both the music and movie 50 First Dates.
Yes.
And then report back for that episode on Thursday. So, Mikey, do you have a review for us to read? Well, while you're looking one up, let me tell them how they can have their review read on the podcast, and that is to leave us a 5-star text review, and we'll have Mikey read it for you. So, Mikey, whose review are you going to read this week?
I'm going to read Lady Undertaker's review.
Awesome. Is it just entitled like Hell in a Cell?
It's entitled Love It.
Well, awesome. Well, what does Lady Undertaker have to say?
I love horror virgins, so as soon as I knew about this podcast, I had to give it a listen.
Nice.
I love romantic comedies and how they say bunkers, but it's bonkers. is what they mean. How bunkers they can be.
They actually said bunkers?
Yeah, it's funny.
I love it.
The trio are also funny. Thanks. And even the movies that they cover that I have not seen are bops.
That's a good thing, right? Kids are saying that's like a good thing.
Don't know. One of my favorites is the Twilight episode. If you see my review, please watch and consider doing an episode on Dinner in America. It is a bonkers movie that was not marketed as a romantic comedy, but is a punk romantic comedy. 5 stars. Dinner in America. I'll check it out.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but oh shit, that just came out. I looked it up. That just came out in 2020.
Ooh.
Well, we will look into
Crazy
this.
that I missed that. There's nothing else going on that year that I can remember.
Well, Lady Undertaker, thank you so much for the 5-star review. We really appreciate it. And if you want to have Mikey read your review, leave us a 5-star review. So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts. Black Card Rehab, and Cult Podcast. So guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show.
Yes.
On Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at MRandolph24, and I am at Todd J Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us, you guys. I'm Paige.
I'm Mikey.
And I'm Todd.
You complete us.
To completion.
Grade A, thick, mignon.
Bye! Does Paige say Toodle Pip anymore, nerds?
I haven't seen Toodle Pip in a while.
I know.
I got to bring it back.
You do.